In this video, we will be studying about the cubital fossa. The cubital fossa is a hollow structure situated in the front of the elbow. In this figure, you can see this triangular portion is the cubital fossa. Now let's talk about the boundaries of the cubital fossa. In this figure, this is the cubital fossa. This triangle is the cubital fossa. Here we can see this is the base, which is directed upwards, and this is the apex, which is directed downwards. In this figure, this is the medial side and this is the lateral side. So, the medial boundary of the cubital fossa is the lateral border of the pronator teres muscle. This is the lateral boundary of the pronator teres muscle. The lateral border is the medial boundary of the brachioradialis muscle. This is the brachioradialis muscle and this is its medial boundary. Now, the base is directed upwards. This is the base, which is formed by an imaginary line joining the front two epicondyles of the humerus. These are the two epicondyles and this imaginary line joins them. So this will form the base. And the apex of the fossa is directed downwards. This is the apex, which is formed when the brachioradialis muscle, this is the brachioradialis, which crosses the pronator teres. So, when the brachioradialis crosses the pronator teres, the apex is formed. This is the apex. Now let's see which muscles form the floor of the fossa. There are basically two muscles, brachialis and the supinator muscle. These two form the floor of the fossa. Let's see this cross-section figure. Here, this is the brachialis attached to the ulna bone. This is the ulna and this is the radius. The brachialis is attached only to the ulna, but the supinator is attached to ulna and the radius. Here you can see the supinator muscle wraps the radius muscle. It starts here, it wraps the radius muscle and again attaches to the radius only. Now let's talk about the roof of the fossa. From outwards to inwards, outward to inwards. First is skin. The uppermost structure will always be the skin. Next is the superficial fascia. Under the skin, the superficial fascia. Now, the superficial fascia contains three veins. First is median cubital vein. Second is the basilic vein. The third is the cephalic vein. Now let's see it in the figure. This is the medial cubital vein. This is the basilic vein. Now remember MB. The basilic vein is always on the medial side, MB. So in this figure, this will be the medial side and this will be the lateral side. And the lateral side, we have the cephalic vein. Here in the figure, we can also see that the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, it lies along the basilic vein. This is the basilic vein and this is the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Likewise, the lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm, this nerve lies along the cephalic vein. Now, the third structure is the deep fascia. The deep fascia lies inner to the superficial fascia. And the last structure, fourth, is the bicipital aponeurosis. Bicipital aponeurosis. So, these are the structures of the roof. Let's revise it again. From outwards to inwards, first is the skin. Next is the superficial fascia, which contains three veins. The median cubital vein, the basilic vein and the cephalic vein. And two nerves, the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm and the lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. Then inner to that is the deep fascia and inner to the deep fascia there is the bicipital aponeurosis. So these are the structures of the roof. Now let's see the contents of the fossa. In this figure, this is the medial side, this is the lateral side. This is the pronator teres muscle. This is the pronator teres. It lies on the medial side. This is the brachioradialis, which lies on the lateral side. Remember, the lateral boundary of the pronator teres forms the medial boundary, and the medial boundary of the brachioradialis forms the lateral boundary of the fossa. This is the bicep brachii muscle. Now finally, coming to the contents of the fossa, you can remember the contents by the mnemonic MBBR. From medial side to the lateral side, the mnemonic is MBBR. The first content starting from M is the median nerve. This is the median nerve. This nerve passes between the two heads of the pronator teres muscle. The second content is the brachial artery. This is the brachial artery. It divides into its two branches, the radial artery and the ulnar artery. The radial artery lies on the lateral side. It is most superficial, and this, the second branch, is the ulnar artery. So the second content is the brachial artery, which divides into its two branches, the radial artery and the ulnar artery. The third content is the tendon of the bicep brachii muscle. This is the bicep brachii muscle, and the tendon lies to the lateral side of the brachial artery and makes the third content of the cubital fossa. Now, the last content of the fossa is the radial nerve. This is the radial nerve. The radial nerve divides into two branches. The superficial branch, this is the superficial branch, and the deep branch, this is the deep branch. And the deep branch leaves the fossa by piercing the supinator muscle. So now we have total 4 contents that we can remember by the mnemonic MBBR. First is the median nerve, second is the brachial artery, third is the tendon of the bicep brachii muscle, and fourth is the radial nerve. Now let's talk about the clinical anatomy of the cubital fossa. First is the median cubital vein. This forms the roof of the fossa, is the vein of choice for intravenous injections. Second is the brachial artery, is used for the measurement of blood pressure. So these two are very important. First is the median cubital vein, is the vein of choice for the IV injections, and the brachial artery is used for the measurement of BP. And the third is that the anatomy of the cubital fossa is useful while dealing with the fracture around the elbow. For example, the supracondylar fracture of the humerus. In this figure, we can see the supracondylar fracture of humerus. It is produced by a fall on the outstretched hand. The lower fragment is displayed backwards, so the elbow becomes unduly prominent. This fracture can also cause injury to the median nerve. And that can lead to Volkmann's ischemic contracture. Let's see it again. In the supracondylar fracture of humerus, the lower part is displayed backwards, so the elbow becomes unduly prominent, which can lead to the injury of the median nerve and which can cause Walkman's ischemic contracture. This was the clinical anatomy of cubital fossa.